All right, so why don't we go ahead and get started? This week's artist is Ansel Adams. Al Unger totally inspired us to to pick Ansel, and so he's obviously known. He's an environmentalist and known for his black and white photographs, absolutely incredible photographs, particularly of the Yosemite region. And so why don't I just go ahead and turn it over to Sarah.
Hi, everyone. So here's a picture of our man of the week, Ansel Adams. Ansel Easton Adams was born in San Francisco in 1902. And his father was a successful businessman, and his grandfather owned a successful timber. However, his family lost a lot of their money in the financial crisis of 1907, and they had to move in with his mother's sister. One of Adams's first memories is actually the San Francisco earthquake of 1906. He was only 4 at the time, but he had a serious fall, leaving his nose disfigured. This had a lasting effect on him because it led to lots of teasing in school as a child. And so Adams often felt comforted and most at peace when in nature. There were sand dunes and a large forest near his house. As well, he also discovered a love for piano and actually wanted to pursue being a musician as his career. He studied piano and photography simultaneously, but ultimately photography became his source of creative expression. Ansel Adams joined the Sierra Club, which is an environmentalist and conservationist group, in 1919 and became the custodian for the club's main lodge in Yosemite. So he was able to stay there on trips to Yosemite during the summer and was responsible for taking photographs on the club's behalf during their annual trips. Adams met a mentor and later a benefactor named Albert Bender, who suggested that he create a professional portfolio. In 1927, he published 18 prints, some of which we'll look at in just a moment. In 1928, he married Virginia Best, whose father conveniently owned a gallery in Yosemite. Ansel and Virginia inherited that gallery, and it is now called the Ansel Adams Gallery and is still open to this day. So this is Monolith, the face of Half Dome, taken in Yosemite National Park in 1927. This was part of Ansel's first portfolio. It's a really sharp black and white photo that uses a lot of contrast. There's obviously the contrast between the foreground and the background, but I think the main purpose of the contrast and light is to show the brooding image of Half Dome. This vantage point of the photo is taken from a place called the Diving Board, which is a ledge that hangs 3,500 feet off the valley floor. So Adams hiked around the area all day looking for a place that conveyed the gargantuan nature of Half Dome. He started the day with 17 glass plate negatives, and by the time he found this location, he only had 2 negatives left. So in this photograph, which is the last photo he took that day, he used a red filter to significantly darken the sky and emphasize the white snow. Adams said of this photo, quote, "The great rocks of Yosemite, expressing qualities of timeless yet intimate grandeur, are the most compelling formations of their kind. We should not casually pass them by, for they are the very heart of the earth speaking to us." I love that. It's so poetic. This next photo is titled Rose and Driftwood, very aptly. It was taken in San Francisco in 1932. So as compared to the last image, this one is much more specific and is much more about the smaller details rather than the large scope of the landscape. It uses sharp focus and high contrast to accentuate the minute details of the veins in the rose petals, the staining of the driftwood. In a way, it's kind of like a traditional still life. However, Adams modernizes it by zooming in and kind of getting rid of any distractions around the focus of the photo. I personally really love this photo just from how textured it is. You can almost feel the photo just by looking at it. As well, at this point in Ansel's career, he began using glossy paper, which allowed for even sharper detail. Adams was fascinated by the architecture and the culture in New Mexico and traveled there frequently to photograph it. This photo is appropriately named Moonrise and is actually one of his most famous photographs. This was taken in the small town of Hernandez outside of Santa Fe and shows a moment where day and night interact. So the town is bathed in this kind of evening light right before the sun sets, but the moon is already high in the sky. So though the time of day obviously affects the lighting of this picture, Ansel strongly believed that a photograph is made, not taken. So this photo is a study for him in the use of technique and manipulation of different lenses and filters to kind of accentuate the lighting that was already present. There are different stories surrounding this photo, but it's said that Adams stumbled upon this scene while driving back to California from Santa Fe and immediately got out of the car and just had to take the photo. He refers to this as the inevitable photo.
He had 30 seconds to take the picture.
Yeah, I'm sure that it's such a quick moment of time right before the sun sets. He just had to get out of the car and take it. So Ansel Adams was dedicated to sharing his knowledge of photography, and his teaching services were in high demand. In 1941, he was commissioned to photograph the national parks by the Secretary of the Interior. This took him to Yellowstone, where this pristine photo was taken. However, this initiative to photograph the parks was halted later that year when the US joined World War II. But Adams was so dedicated to completing this project that he later applied and received a Guggenheim grant and published a limited edition portfolio of these photos in 1946. So Adams left behind a legacy not only of a photographer, but also of a conservationist, a teacher, and a writer. He has produced undoubtedly some of the most famous images of the American wilderness and was actually awarded the Presidential Medal of Freedom in 1980 by Jimmy Carter. Thank you.
It's fantastic. Thank you, Sarah. Incredible artist, right? And Al, thank you for inspiring us to use Ansel Adams as this week's artist. Really appreciate that. Do we have any?
My pleasure.
30 seconds. Wow. I mean, I can barely take a photograph in 30 seconds with my iPhone, right?
Right. Can you imagine having to set up all the equipment and put the filters on and everything?
Yeah, he saw it, jumped out of the car, set it up, and took the picture, and 30 seconds later it was gone.
Wow. I had never seen that photograph before, so it's amazing. Thank you for sharing that, Sarah. Do you have any questions? And please stay on for the whole hour because you can ask questions anytime during the hour. But any questions right now for Sarah? Or for Al? All right. Why don't we?
Sarah, what's your favorite Ansel Adams picture?
I really like Rose and Driftwood because it's one of those. I mean, obviously his landscapes are stunning and beautiful, but I like the specificity of it. It's a black and white photo, but there's so much detail with the texture.
Yeah, it seems like the driftwood is actually like carved. It's probably natural that way, but it just looks really intricate. So I've never seen that one, by the way.
It would be interesting to see a color version of that nowadays.
Yeah,
I hadn't seen that either, and actually it makes me want to go out and actually get it for my home. Ansel Adams has got all these amazing things, but I appreciate you showing that one because I hadn't seen that kind of intimate detail, and it's really beautiful.
Thank you.